Welcome back to the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. My name's Pat, and it has been over 2 months since I've done one of these podcasts. If you're new here, then welcome. It doesn't really mean much to you, but I'm back here for our AEW reviews. I think the last one I did was for Grand Slam, so pretty wild. It's been that long, but here we are. Lots has happened since. Ryan and Angelo just made their return after a 2-month hiatus with the Impact Power Hour. They were off last week because of Thanksgiving. It was Thanksgiving, and 2, Impact just did a best of show, so was no real sense in covering that. But yeah, hi, how's it going? Glad that you're listening to this, if you are. Again, lots has happened since the last podcast. The Elite are back after their suspension. The House of Black are back on TV. Bandito has signed. Willow Nightingale has signed. AR Fox has signed. And Takeshita is also signed. So new signings in AEW. We'll talk about it later in this show, but most likely William Regal is out of AEW and heading back to WWE. Jamie Hayter is officially the AEW Women's World Champion. MJF is the World Champion. Thunder Rosa has been stripped of the Women's Championship, and Tony's interim reign has been recognized as an actual reign. So, again, lots has happened. I guess I keep saying lots has happened. It doesn't sound right. A lot has happened, I guess, is the proper English, which I should know since I am I did graduate college with a major in English. But yeah, again, just kind of, I think we all just got a little burnt out. I think we were doing a little too much podcasting. A lot of us had other stuff going on in life with, whether it be moving or work, or vacations. It's just, it felt like the right time to take a break, and we probably should have, prepped for it more, but we didn't, and that's on us. But I can confirm that I am back doing the AEW podcast on a hopefully weekly basis. It might take some time to get back into the swing of things fully, but I am here for this. The Impact Power Hour is back, and we are officially planning our year-end awards, so they will be back once again for the 3rd year, I believe. We did it in 2020, we did 2021, we're doing 2022, so I think we might have done it in 2019 as well, so it might be 4 years. No, we didn't do it 2019. You know what? I don't know. We might have done it in 2019 before we actually started the podcast. Anyways, but we will be doing that. So pretty exciting if you're into year-end awards or lists and stuff like that. But I'm here today to talk about AEW Dynamite from November 30th. Happy December, everybody. It's officially the month of Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and New Year's and all that good stuff. So whatever you're celebrating, enjoy it. But here we are. It's December. It's the end of the year. 2022 has flown by. And yeah, so the last AEW of November is what we're talking about today. And we're just going to dive on into it. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, please consider doing so wherever you're listening to, whether it's Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, TuneIn, Overcast, Breaker, wherever it is, or if you're on YouTube, again, you can also subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can follow us over on Twitter at Deep Six Wrestling. I should remember to put all of our links down in the episode description, so whether you're listening on one of the streaming services or if you're on YouTube, you can find all of our links down there if you would want to do that. You can also, if you are listening on like Apple or Spotify, please consider reviewing or leaving a rating on the podcast, because it does help us out quite a bit. So please consider doing that. All right, let's dive on in. I've already been talking for like 5 minutes, so let's get to it. Before we dive in, I guess, again, worth noting the William Regal thing, that it's been reported a bunch of different stuff. First, it was that he was leaving AEW and that he had only signed a 1-year contract. Then we had the report that he had signed for 3 years. Then it was 3 years, but that he might have an out. And now, as of today, which is Thursday, we have Fightful that is reporting that talent in AEW is of the belief that William Regal's AEW deal could be up in December of this year, which is 2022. And PW Insider is reporting that William Regal could be back in WWE very soon, stating that all signs are that William Regal, age 54, will be in World Wrestling Entertainment shortly. Although we have heard nothing official from the company, there have been rumblings within WWE of late about Regal returning in a backstage role. That would mean that he would be exiting AEW, where it certainly appeared that he was written out of storylines last night on Dynamite, having been attacked by world champion MJF, which we'll get to. So, looking at this show, we'll start with how it kicked things off here with Jon Moxley coming out, and Moxley arrives on the scene. He gets a much more welcoming reaction than what he got in Newark for Full Gear, which we were in attendance for. I thought it was a fantastic show. That Full Gear pay-per-view was great. The Rampage taping the night before was not so great. But he comes out and he states that there are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and Jon Moxley. He's at the top of the food chain here, and the AEW ring belongs to him. There's nobody in AEW that can step to him, and before he can continue on, Hangman Page's music hits, and Hangman returns after going down with the scary injury that he had ahead of Full Gear when he faced off against Moxley. Mox would joke about the concussion and question if Page even remembered the match, and Hangman doesn't say anything. He just starts a violent brawl here with these two kicking things off for the first 10 minutes of just brawling around the ringside area. They go up the stage. Moxley takes a kind of a scary spill off the stage, but he appeared to be good, and they kept going, and then would be separated as this was just the start of the show. Very chaotic opening here. I had no idea Hangman was going to be returning so soon, but I was very happy that he was here. I'm kind of happy that we're just going into Moxley versus Hangman now, because one, they kind of got, obviously it wasn't great that Hangman got injured, but they got a very strong feud here between two of the top faces in the company, so I think it's a win-win. And yeah, it's fresh. It also gets Moxley away from the Jericho Appreciation Society. It gets him away from MJF right now. So Hangman versus Moxley, it's a new direction, and I think it's going to be really good. After this, we would go into Bryan Danielson versus Dax Harwood. This followed up on a segment that we got on Rampage last week, where after FTR defended the ROH World Tag Team titles against Top Flight, Dax said that he wanted to face the best wrestler alive, and he challenged Bryan Danielson to a singles match, noting his own status as one of the best in the world right now after the very, very impressive 2022 that Dax has had from an in-ring standpoint. During the opening moments of this, commentary would heavily mention MJF and William Regal in relation to Danielson, which, again, we'd get a little more conversation about this later, but that we were heading towards MJF versus Danielson as a feud. But in the actual match, Dax would get control pretty early on here, taking Danielson to the floor before Dax would get sent to the front row of fans as we went into the commercial break. Back from picture-in-picture, Dax would send Bryan reeling with 3 German suplexes in a row just across the ring, and then teases going high, but Bryan rolls across the ring to avoid it. Both men then just go reversal for reversal here. We have a strike misses from Dax, then Danielson misses with a roundhouse kick, and Harwood just scores a 2 count with a pile driver out of nowhere. Dax then tries to go up high again, but Danielson gets out of the way, and we have a baseball slide that gets attempted from Dax, but Bryan moves out of the way and then flies off the apron with the knee. We have both men going up top here. Dax gets crotched on the top turnbuckle. Danielson then gets into position behind him and just delivers 10 very hard-looking hammer and anvil elbows into his shoulder. We get a back suplex off the top, but Dax counters midair, and then Bryan counters with the roll-up in the ring for a near fall. Dax then headbutts Danielson, and then Bryan just unleashes his own here. Short arm lariat from Dax, and then Bryan just heats up and fires off his own, and then the two just start slamming each other in the chest. And we get a spin kick gets looked for Bryan, but Dax counters into his slingshot powerbomb off the ropes, which Danielson counters into a Hurricane Rana. The Busaiku knee gets blocked. Dax does land the slingshot powerbomb for a big near fall here, and then transitions into the sharpshooter, but Bryan gets the rope break. Both men then trade a series of pinfall attempts with small packages just rolling around the ring before Bryan gets the label locked in, and Dax taps out. This was a fantastic opening match. I think it lived up to the hype that everybody had for this, and I would love to see them run it back. I think, without a doubt, Bryan Danielson is probably one of the best wrestlers alive, and Dax Harwood is one of the best wrestlers of 2022. Both these guys have just kicked all types of ass, and seeing them get to do the singles match for the first time ever was wonderful. I also, people have been clamoring for something more for Danielson in AEW, and tonight seemed to be a big turn of events for him. So I think that's a positive sign. And now all we got to do is hope that FTR going into the next year can get some stuff together. So we'll see. But I thought this was a great match. This was just simply fantastic. Then we had Ricky Starks briefly being interviewed backstage, announcing that he was going to be entering the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal, which is happening next week, where the winner will face MJF, because MJF has the Dynamite Diamond Ring still. And says that he's going to win the Battle Royal, and when they face off, that winner is coming. He wants the Dynamite Diamond Ring and the AEW World Championship on the line. Back from the commercial break after this interview, we have Hangman Page and Jon Moxley just continually beating each other up backstage. And just, again, a big pull-apart brawl here. Just very similar to the CM Punk Eddie Kingston one we got last year. And then we'd go to a sit-down interview hosted by Renee with Jake Hager 2.0 and Daniel Garcia, and then Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. Matt Menard takes over at the beginning and says that when Claudio loses to Jericho at Final Battle, and he has to become a sports entertainer again, he should become a yodeler. And Castagnoli just kind of brushes it off and then says he has to win so he can prove to himself that his world title win wasn't a fluke. Hager shows that he has a second purple hat, pulling it out of his fanny pack. And Yuta challenges Garcia to a rematch for the ROH Pure Championship, and a tag match is also made for next week with Hager and Garcia versus Claudio and Wheeler. I know a lot of people probably want Claudio to just win the ROH World title back, but part of me just wants him to lose so that the Blackpool Combat Club can... I hate it because I thought the Blackpool Combat Club was, a wonderful faction creation this year, but at this point, it has fallen apart, and this feud with the JAS has killed it. I feel like Hager and Claudio could actually probably be a very entertaining tag team again. So, honestly, I wouldn't... And I don't really want Jericho's reign to end. I feel like Jericho's having a legendary reign right now. So, yeah, but we'll see. We would get Samoa Joe making his first championship of the AEW TNT Championship here after winning it at Full Gear, and it would be him facing off against one of the newest signings to AEW, Mr. AR Fox. So yeah, I was very excited for this. I'm a big AR Fox supporter, so seeing him get signed and then get to face off against Joe here was really good. Out of the gate, Joe would take control, just beating him down with elbows and foot stomps in the corner, and then nailing a headbutt in the center of the ring. AR Fox would matrix dodge a clothesline before taking Joe down with an enziguri. We then got a great spot here where Fox would fly over the top rope with a 450 flipping dive, and Samoa Joe just sidestepped it casually before the camera revealed that Fox had landed on his feet. Just a great spot and great camera work. That would go into commercial break, and then back from break, Joe would catch Fox with a side slam for a 2 count. AR Fox goes up top, and he flies off the rope with a tornado DDT, a duo of super kicks, and while Samoa Joe was kneeling, Fox hit a low angle cutter, which looked pretty cool. Up top, he nails a 450 splash for another 2 count as the crowd comes to life for AR Fox. He goes up top one more time and looks for a swanton, but Joe sidesteps again before pouncing him into the ropes. The Muscle Buster connects and Joe retains. Post-match, Joe grabs his championships and declares himself to be the king of television. Wardlow calls him out, saying it's Wardlow's world and he's coming for what's his. This match is probably going to fly kind of under the radar because of everything else that happened on the show, but I thought AR Fox and Samoa Joe had a really strong match here. I think AR Fox is a really good veteran signing and somebody who's going to be really good for just the TNT, All Atlantic, and then the ROH title scenes. So, yeah. And I'm excited for Wardlow and Joey to get their singles match here. I do think Wardlow sounds very corny on the mic, and part of that adds to some charm, but he definitely does need to improve on the mic, especially when he's going toe to toe with Joe. There's no way I can actively think that Wardlow's this super cool guy when he's really trying to get over Wardlow's world and Joe's just Samoa Joe, So it is what it is, but definitely could have been a better promo from Mr. Mayhem himself, Wardlow. But yeah, and after this, we get a little brief vignette from Powerhouse Hobbs walking around his hometown and just, looking a bit intimidating. And it said to be continued. This was a follow-up on one that we got on Rampage, and it seems like we're just going to continue getting these more a bit to flesh out his character, which can't really complain about. I think the fans are starting to really connect with Powerhouse Hobbs, and I feel like giving him some more, character development and videos and promo time is definitely going to help even more. We'd also get a short little vignette for Hook, recapping his match with Lee Moriarty from before Full Gear, and Taz highlighting the different technicality behind the match. And then we'd go to MJF. MJF would make his return here, but first William Regal would come out with his own entrance video and theme song. And obviously, I feel like some people, including myself, looked a little too far into that, but it is what it is. Commentary would refer to Moxley's promo from last week about Regal being told to walk away and never come back, noting that as soon as Moxley was kicked out of the building, Regal would arrive here. Regal then introduced the new AEW World Champion, MJF, and he would arrive to a much more unwelcoming reaction than as of late, indicating that the ending to Full Gear probably worked his plan to get his heel heat back. He'd be met with shut the fuck up chants before he would reveal Regal's email stating that following the firm's attack on Max, Regal saw that he was weak and offered his help, stating that if he wanted to become the greatest villain of all time, he would not have to grab the Dynamite Diamond Ring, but he would have to grab the Brass Ring. And instead of using his Diamond Ring, Regal instructed Max to use the Brass Knuckles in order to humiliate and emotionally scar Jon Moxley at the pay-per-view. In speaking about the firm, Max states that while he respects them for smelling blood in the water with his own weakness, he is still above them. And then he talks about the AEW World Championship, stating that he made a promise to himself that he would usher out the old and bring in the new for the company, stating that the belt is tacky, lacks class, and it reminds him of all the men that came before him, and while they were all class athletes, none of them are on his level. And so this version of the title is garbage, and he drops the belt out of the ring as Regal reveals the new AEW World Championship, which looks identical except an extremely ugly Burberry leather strap, as Max refers to it as the Triple B, the Big Burberry belt. It is the most prestigious belt in pro wrestling, and nobody deserves to be recognized as world champion aside from him. Not fake tough guys like Eddie Kingston and Ricky Starks, and not fake wrestlers like Bryan Danielson. He states that he's going to be the AEW World Champion for a long time, until the bidding war of 2024, when he uses Triple B to earn the biggest contract in wrestling, and he hopes that the con that foots the bill is Nick Khan and his boy Trips. But maybe if he doesn't go to WWE, he'll still leave and go to Hollywood because he's sick of wrestling fans. He isn't deaf. He knows that some fans were happy that he won the championship, but he knows that fans are fickle and that they will turn on him. During his long and illustrious reign, MJF states that he will rarely defend the belt and will rarely wrestle, noting that he is a special attraction. 9 times out of 10, fans will have to pay for a pay-per-view to see him defend this belt. He's about to have a world title reign that makes Jeff Jarrett, JBL, and Hulk Hogan's look fun and short, and he will make Bruno Sammartino roll over in his shitty little grave, as his reign of terror has just begun. Before he can wrap things up, MJF says that without Regal and the Brass Knuckles, he wouldn't have been able to do this, and from the bottom of his heart, and then he nails him in the back of the head with the Brass Knuckles as he knocks out William Regal, and states that the game has changed. MJF only hires world-class athletes and performers. When he becomes one, he can send him his stuff. Yours truly, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, echoing the original email that William Regal sent to MJF when he was trying to get a job in WWE. And Bryan Danielson and the medical team would come out as a stretcher job gets done here for William Regal. So this segment was definitely polarizing for a lot of people. Some people seem to really hate this, and a lot of people seem to really think that this was just an incredible promo. I'm more on the side of I thought this was great. Now that we know that Regal is, likely going back to WWE, you needed a way for him to get off TV, and having MJF just knock him out not only adds to the heel heat for MJF, but also adds a lot of heat to the feud between him and Danielson, which is very clearly coming. We also got the acknowledgement of Ricky Starks here, and a potential feud that everybody seems to have been clamoring for between Eddie Kingston and the MJF. So, if our first feuds for MJF as world champion are Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston, and Bryan Danielson, I think we're in for a good reign here. And with, again, it seems like everybody, no, I won't say everybody, but it seems like a portion of wrestling fans like to say that AEW has too many championships. If MJF is rarely wrestling and defending the belt on television, then that's one less belt, and it makes the belt feel a little more special. So, yeah, I just think that this is exactly what MJF needed to kick off a monster heel reign as champion, and I'm excited to see where it goes. We'd get Ricky Starks versus Ari Daivari here. Prior to the match, Ethan Page and the Firm would arrive, and Ricky Starks would just win this very quickly. Nothing more. Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker were backstage. Britt would take the lead, putting over the Pittsburgh Steelers before Jamie cuts in and suggests that next week Tony Schiavone has a sit-down with herself, and it's set. So Jamie is getting a sit-down interview next week on Dynamite, and this is in reference to Saraya getting a sit-down interview on Rampage this week. It seems like they're setting up Jamie versus Saraya, which I'm kind of surprised about. I kind of thought they would wait on that, but I guess not. Willow Nightingale versus Anna JAS was up next. As commentary would note, the singles match between Willow and Anna is a continued build off the issues that began on AEW Dark between Willow and Sky Blue and Anna and Ty Mello. Nightingale takes control here early on with the Indianapolis crowd fully behind her as Willow just offers 2 hip attacks in the corner before Anna fires up with a big leg lariat and then a diving blockbuster for a 2 count. Gory facebuster from Anna JS scores a 2 count here as the crowd lights up with Willow chants. Anna then gets the Queen Slayer locked in, but Willow just falls back to break it. She looks for the Doctor Bomb, but Ty hops up onto the apron for the distraction. Anna goes for a roll-up, but Willow kicks out. Nightingale then kicks Anna's arm during a lariat attempt, and she levels her with her own. And then she drops Anna J with the Doctor Bomb as Willow Nightingale wins here. And worth noting that, again, they've mentioned it throughout the year that Anna doesn't really lose singles matches that often, so a clean win over her is a pretty good thing for Willow. And after the match, Ruby Soho would make a shocking return here, taking out Ty Mello as we get a little brawl here at ringside. She'd then take out Anna J here, getting a massive Ruby chant and welcome home chants. And she'd take out Ty to end the segment with Destination Unknown on the ramp. So, yeah, again, I think that there is a very clear, added focus to the women's division as of late. There's a lot going on. We have Jamie's big coronation as champion. They're clearly continuing to plant the seeds between her and Britt, with Britt always interrupting her now. We had the sit-down interview with Tony last week. Obviously, she's out a little bit since I'm pretty sure she broke her nose or an orbital bone. She broke something in her face. Willow Nightingale has continued to get pushed. We have the team of Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue that were briefly feuding with Ty and Anna. Ruby's back, and it looks like she's going to jump into this with Ty. We have Penelope Ford and Allie targeting Hikaru Shida. We have Jade stuff, which we'll get to in a second, and Saraya. So there's and Athena's heel turn. So again, there's a lot of stuff going on in the women's division. So anybody who wants to say that AEW doesn't really care about the women's division and it's one story or something, no, there's a lot going on. You just have to actually watch the show. Yeah. So I was very happy to see Ruby back. Okay. Jade Cargill's TBS Celebration. So Jade would come out here in, I don't even know what to say. This was the most insane outfit I've ever seen. I think it was just a bodysuit, but it looked like she was basically just wearing dollar bills. This was nuts. And she'd be here with Layla Gray and Red Velvet. She got a confident promo here, calling out Velvet and Layla's loyalty after both were seen hanging out with Kira Hogan over the weekend, despite Jade firing her. Nobody in the division has her face, her body, or her aura, and she's a superstar. Fans can play, but Jade puts asses in the seats, and she only wrestles for bad bitches. She orders the cameraman to get a shot of her baddie section, which is now back, and she states that she creates careers. It notes that Bow Wow's career is a joke. Bow Wow then awkwardly appears on the screen and says he's done with his tour and that he can't wait to see Jade in person. What was this? I have no idea what this segment was. Again, Jade's promo I thought was really good. I thought she looked like a star. She looked amazing. Like, she sold this all very well. She had the baddie section back, which is a good thing. But where is this Bow Wow thing going? I have no idea. There's like three options here. Bow Wow introduces, again, the dream scenario is that Bow Wow somehow is the one that is introducing like a debuting Sasha Banks. Don't think it's going to be that, but that would be like the best case scenario. Second scenario is that he aligns with Kiera Hogan and attempts to give Kiera Hogan a rub here, as like a new babyface challenger for Jade. The third option is that we're going to get Bow Wow versus Jade Cargill in a intergender match, and I do not know who wants to see that. I have no issue with Jade doing intergender matches. I think that she's probably a very strong candidate for it. But why Bow Wow? I don't know. Very strange. But anyways, Jade's look stole the segment here, stole the show. Bow Wow, please no. The Acclaimed and Daddy Ass were backstage, and they said this basically just seems like they're teasing the Acclaimed versus FTR. I don't know if this is going to happen at Final Battle or what, but it does seem like this is the direction we're going now. Rampage this week has a terrible lineup. We have the sit-down interview with Renee Paquette and Saraya. We're going to hear from Swerve in Our Glory, Cole Carter versus Darby Allin, Private Party versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, Orange Cassidy versus QT Marshall for the All-Atlantic Championship match in a Lumberjack match, and the Acclaimed will speak. Dynamite next week is the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal with the winner facing MJF for the ring. Brian Cage, Matt Hardy, Shawn Dean, Jungle Boy, Dalton Castle, Ethan Page, and Ricky Starks. And a sit-down interview with AEW Women's World Champion Jamie Hayter. Next weekend, Final Battle is on, and there are two matches for this show so far. Chris Jericho versus Claudio Castagnoli for the ROH Championship. If Jericho wins, Claudio has to join the Jericho Appreciation Society. And Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta for the ROH Pure Championship. It does seem like we're going to be getting Mercedes Martinez defending the ROH Women's Championship against Athena as well. And then in 2 weeks, we have Winter is Coming, where we have MJF versus Ricky Starks for the AEW World Championship, and match 4 of the Elite versus Death Triangle in the Best of 7 series. So, Final Battle does not feel like a big show whatsoever. And Rampage looks very like nobody needs to watch that show this week. Dynamite next week, they have one thing announced, so I can't judge that whole show. But yeah. Anyways, main event of this week, the Elite versus Death Triangle Best of 7 Series Match 3. Going into this, it is Death Triangle leading 2-0. So they're looking to get the 3-0 lead here over the Elite. Attacking Death Triangle, but during their entrance, the Elite would look to take the advantage here before the bell. Kenny looks for a V-trigger running down the entrance ramp, but Pac would fire back here with a super kick to block it. Phoenix and Penta then would level the Young Bucks with dual cutters as we go into the first commercial break here. Back from break, madness just takes place as Rick Knox gets taken out. Alex hands Penta a hammer, but Phoenix prevents it from being used. Big V-trigger from Kenny Omega here scores a near fall on Penta, though Pac would break it up. The Bucks would accidentally kick Kenny in the back with Death Triangle nailing triangle moonsaults just everywhere here. Penta would follow up with a Fear Factor on Omega for a big near fall. A super kick party breaks out between the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks before Matt Jackson nails a dual Northern Lights suplex on Phoenix and Penta. That got a big reaction. Pac gets in to break things up here as he and Omega go up top. The Bastard here attempts a superplex, but Kenny fights out of it, just nailing the mask on Pac repeatedly, only for Pac to headbutt Omega with it, which opens him up for a crazy Avalanche Falcon Arrow for another big near fall. That goes into commercial break, and we're back again. Phoenix and Nick Jackson have another memorable exchange here. These two always deliver the goods. And Phoenix just looks for a double crossbody onto the Bucks, but they like catch him and he escapes. And then Matt and Nick nail more bang for your buck for another near fall. Penta makes the save on that one. The Fear Factor gets nailed by Death Triangle as Penta flies out to the floor to take out Nick and Omega. Leaving Pac to get a near fall on Matt here. The sheer drop brainbuster from Pac lands on Matt Jackson, but yet again only a 2 count. Paxton comes off the top rope, but Matt gets his knees up and rolls up the bastard as Kenny blocks Phoenix from breaking the pin, and the Elite win as they move to 1, and Death Triangle sits at 2. Anyone doubting the ability of these 6 guys to pull off 7 matches that are all going to be very different is crazy. We are 3 matches in, and this has been just absolute insanity, time in and time out. The crowds are electric for this. It's so engaging to watch them try to one-up themselves now, like on a week-to-week basis here. It's just like... I don't know what to say. It's very fun to watch. Very compelling stuff, and yeah, I can't imagine like being able to watch this on free TV and going like, nah, not for me. Like, it's just so good. But again, everybody has different tastes when it comes to wrestling. So for some people, it's definitely, not for them, I guess. Anyways, I thought it was an utterly fantastic main event. And overall, I thought this Dynamite was really strong. I don't think it was as strong as last week's, which obviously I didn't do a podcast review for, but I said that was one of my favorite Dynamites of all time, especially this year. But this was still really good. I would go like 7.5 or 8 for this episode. A fantastic surprise opening with Hangman and Moxley, a great return for Ruby Soho. A phenomenal opening match with Dax Harwood and Bryan Danielson, and a crazy main event with Death Triangle versus the Elite, and also a really a match that's going to fly under the radar with AR Fox and Samoa Joe. So, yeah. And again, I was on the side of really liking the MJF promo, so obviously I'm giving that one a big praise, whereas, people that aren't a fan of that aren't going to like it as much. So, yeah, it is what it is. And with this being Thursday and it just past 5 o'clock, I can say that the ratings for Dynamite are out, and it got 870,000 viewers and a .26 in the 18 to 49 demographic. So, there's your ratings for Dynamite if you're into that. Anyways, yeah, thanks for listening. It feels good to, I guess, record a podcast again for the first time since Grand Slam. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a comment down below, leave a like on the video, subscribe, whatever you want to do, we appreciate it. If you do leave a comment, let us know what your thoughts were on this week's episode of Dynamite. Let us know what you're looking forward to in MJF's title reign. Who do you think is going to take the belt off of him? Where do you think William Regal ends up in WWE, etc., etc. Whatever you want to comment, go for it. Anyways, I've been Pat, so thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.